Everybody, welcome back to the realm. Another episode of Weird Weekly News. We bring to you just weird news from all around the world, and we just deliver it to you. And so you can be as fascinated as we are by all the crazy shit going on in the world, right, Rich?
Nothing phases me anymore, unfortunately. So,
well, I'm Gina.
Howdy, I'm Rich.
And so we're going to get started. So you ready to figure out who's going to go first? Okay, you're on a streak.
Yes, I am.
So winning streak aside, you have 3 wins. One of them by default because Kez was your stand-in that week. But I'm going to give it to you.
I'll take it.
All right, ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, both scissors. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, shit. You won again. I have paper. He has scissors. Oh, my God. The world. Maybe CERN did shift the time. Like, oh, my God. Maybe something happened. Like our timeline shifted or something. We're in a world where Rich wins. Rock, paper, scissors. Like,
go figure that one out, huh? Figure that one out.
Okay, so let me get my news story pulled up here. So the title is, Can Minds Persist When They Cut Off from the World? And then the subtitle was, Could We Ever Create a Brain in a Vat? So this is like that age-old question, or like when I was in, I think it was like a psychology class or something I took, and the professor talked about like, what if our brains were really a Petri, like we were a Petri dish or something, that they were the aliens or somebody was experimenting with us in our lives, and it's not reality.
Well, you know what I think when you say that? I think of the movie Young Frankenstein, when Igor goes in, he finds all the brains in the jars. When you say about brain in a Petri dish, that's the first thing that I picture is, a brain in some type of like beaker or some type of, whatever.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the pictures in this article. So this is kind of funny. So this is from July 6th. So this was a month ago in Live Science. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if it's supposed to be livescience.com or Live Science. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. But maybe if somebody out there can answer that question for us. But for now, I'm going to say Live Science.
Very good.
So normally I try to break down news articles, right? And I try to just give it in my own words. But this one, I'm just going to read a large portion of it right from the article itself. And then I have a couple questions. So here we go. So could a brain ever exist on its own, divorced from or independent of a body? So for a long time, philosophers have pondered such a brain in the vat scenario, asking whether isolated brains could maintain consciousness when separated from their bodies and senses. So typically a person's experience is characterized by a web of interactions between the human brain, body, and environment. So recent developments, though, in neuroscience says this conversation is moved from the realm of hypothetical speculation and science fiction to actually isolated examples of where consciousness could be sealed off from the rest of the world, they say. So in 2020, a study detailed in the Journal of Trends in Neuroscience, there was a philosopher by the name of Tim Bain of Monza University in Melbourne, and neuroscientist Anil Seth of the University of Sussex in England, and Marcello Massimini in the University of Milan in Italy. They describe contexts in which such islands of awareness could actually exist. So this is where it gets really interesting. In one possible situation, a brain that has been removed from its host is able to sustain consciousness using oxygen and nutrients necessary for function, delivered via some kind of apparatus called the extracranial brain. So in a study that sounds like something out of a horror movie, researchers were able to successfully restore blood flow to brain cells, cellular functions of neurons, and spontaneous synaptic activity in pigs' brains that were removed after death and connected to this system called Brain X. Whoa, that's like so science fiction here. So the system, which is designed to slow the degeneration of brain tissue after death, can be connected to the base of a post-mortem brain, delivering warm, artificial oxygenated blood. And it was funny because okay, that's not funny, but what funny was in this article, so like in the middle of the article, you read these web articles and there's pictures. And so then they posted a picture taken from the cartoon Futurama, it's like that animated show on Sci-Fi.
Yep, sure.
Where it's like the brains in these like almost or these heads just in these trophy cases, and one is Snoop Dogg, so I had to laugh about that. But in people who suffer from, here's some things that they're doing. So this is one of the things they mentioned was in people who suffer from severe refractory epilepsy, there's a treatment called hemispherotomy, which involves completely disconnecting the damaged half of the brain from the other hemisphere, brainstem, and thalamus. So in these cases, the damaged half stays inside the skull, but is still connected to the vascular system, but it's no longer connected to like the brainstem or the thalamus. So it's not like necessarily connected to the body, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So while the disconnected brain hemisphere continues to receive nutrients and oxygen needed for function, some have wondered whether this isolated hemisphere supports any adjacent consciousness to the opposing or connected hemisphere. So this is where they start talking about consciousness. Scientists actually have created lab-based mini brains, like 3D structures developed from stem cells. I was blown away by this, that display various features of the developing human brain. So some of these, quote, brains in a dish actually have brain waves similar to those seen in preemie babies. So these manufactured 3D like brains that they've created have shown these brain waves. But the question was, do any of these brains actually possess consciousness? Scientists can't deduce consciousness from behavior in these cases because it's not like, how do you measure consciousness, right? So it's not like, so the article says, they can't ask the brains if they're experiencing consciousness. So the conundrum has led neuroscientists to devise a potential objective measure of consciousness. So for instance, scientists could use the so-called perturbational complexity index, called PCI, which is based on the level of interactions between neurons in the brain. So they actually use this index to measure other things already, like in the instance of when people have been in a coma or when they're sleeping. Also when people have had like brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries and things like that. So they already use this index to like kind of measure this anyway. Oh, so what they do is they use the index by electrically stimulating a part of the brain and then measure the resulting patterns of the neural activity to see if there's complexity in the brain cell interactions, like to see if the brain cells are actually communicating. Mm-hmm. So if the resulting measurement of these interactions carries lots of information, then the system can be said to be more conscious. So if they see more like electrical or whatever, communication in these tests, then they're saying, okay, that's a more conscious, I guess, brain. And so that's how they're measuring it. Okay. So basically I said it's kind of like tossing a rock into the pond and measuring the ripples. If the ripples interact with other objects in the pond, setting off more ripples, then that's kind of saying like that's how they would see if there was more consciousness, that it was more effects.
Okay.
So if consciousness doesn't turn out to be reducible to any neural sign in the brain, the scientists believe that the tasks of developing an objective measure of consciousness is still actually a valid one. So I don't know if these tests actually, just to go out on our own here, like we have to define what consciousness is. So they're basically trying to say if it shows interaction, if the neurons can be like the interaction between these neurons can be measured, then that whatever the brain is has consciousness. I feel like, I don't know about you, I feel like consciousness is a little bit more complex than that, because I feel like,
yeah, I agree.
kind of like, because like organisms basically know what to do, right? So, I mean, is consciousness, are they just trying to say that consciousness is basically the ability of something to operate on its own? Or like,
Sounds like that's what they're trying to, that's how they're doing it. I don't know that I consider that, but I guess, I mean, everybody has their own definition of that. And I guess if you've got, like, you know, if they can get them to communicate or try to, there's some type of interaction between those, I guess that's, I mean, you're not going to get full conscious like we would consider conscious out of that. So there's no way it means the same thing. It's just got to be,
yeah, I think that's
a term they're using to, I don't know what the right, I'm not sure what the awareness.
Yeah,
Awareness,
like awareness,
maybe
consciousness. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can measure if a brain's working, if there's activity. But you know, like even the simplest of organisms knows what to do to survive. But does that mean that they have a level of consciousness? Like, does that mean these microorganisms that, you know, you would find in the water or something have like a consciousness to them? So I think that that's where we have to be careful. I think that we have to really define what consciousness is so that it can be better understood, because I feel like the consciousness we have as humans cannot be scientifically explained per se, but that's just me. So I don't know. This one had me thinking so much. So if anybody else was completely intrigued by this story, or, you know, like what the hell, you can dig into it more. You can find it. We'll post the link to this story. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that it's interesting what they're doing. I think that they're on the right track of what they're trying to do. I don't know how far you can go with it.
Right.
You know, I'm not, I guess I'm not too surprised with hearing that they're doing that. Probably the next step in the scientific tree of what they do with everything else. And I figure the brain was going to be coming down the line at some point, going to try to replicate that or try to figure out how that works. And
I know the fact that we were printing mini 3D brains, I think that was the part that really got me, that they were doing that out of stem cells. Like that's the part was really like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. And with them, you know, doing the experiments with the pigs and all that. I mean,
that too, hooking it up to an exo brain.
I mean, because that's what they did with the hearts too, right? When they were doing the heart transplant stuff. So I mean, it makes sense that that's what they're trying to do. I mean, what's the long-term goal for what they're trying to do? Are they
immortality?
Yeah, I kind of figured that was probably where that was going, which I don't know that that's ever going to happen. We're not living in a motion picture, so I'm thinking that that's never going to happen.
Find the perfect host. You know, immortality. Like, did you see that? Oh, what was that movie with?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, you probably did. You know what I'm thinking of? It's the one with
Ryan Reynolds.
No, but I can remember that one.
Yeah, what was that one? I don't remember what that one was called, but that's a similar thing where he gets the guy. I don't remember how they did it. I only saw it once, but somehow he inherits someone else's memories and all that, you know, and into a different body because the host or the person that did it was dying. So he eventually figures it out that, you know, he's not who he thinks he is, but I don't know if that's the same type of thing. The way I picture it, you know, like what they're trying to do is, are they trying to transplant a brain? Like if someone's died, like if someone passes away, but they're considering conscious activity in the brain, is that what they're considering? And then they're thinking they can take that and
how do you find a donor body? Unless they're cloning unless they've started cloning bodies and they've like successfully cloned animals, but then maybe they haven't been able to successfully clone a human to the point.
Who says they haven't?
Like,
I bet you they did. I bet you somebody's cloned.
Well, maybe we'll have to dig. Okay, I'm going to do some research on that for our next Weird Weekly News.
Why would you clone animals and do all that stuff if the bigger goal wasn't to clone a human?
Oh, I'm sure it is, but what I'm thinking is maybe it wasn't.
They're not going to tell us that.
maybe it wasn't successful in as far as when they clone the human, that human doesn't grow up with the same memories that the other brain does that wants to stay alive, forever. So they have to, at some point, if they want to stay in the same body that they were in, they clone the body and then they take the brain and then implant it into this new clone, like basically harvesting a repeat human of yourself. And then your brain gets implanted in there so that not only is your body living forever, but all of your memories, all of your knowledge, your personality and everything. So maybe that's what they're trying to do.
Maybe.
Talk about conspiracy theory 101.
I have lots of questions now. So is there a pile of clone bodies laying somewhere that didn't pan out and they went, well, that one was a good one. Just
I
throw
know.
it over there.
That's what I want to know.
So is there a pile of that?
I actually did recently see like a news article. There was something about how it wasn't even a news article. I'll strike that. It's something that I've been looking into that I have saved because, I'm like a TikTok freak. So there's
the almighty TikTok.
There's this video though that I'm trying to find on TikTok because it was like another video that somebody had shared that was not TikTok in regards to this person that is claiming that they are cloned, that they were cloned by the Canadian government. And so apparently now there's like 3 people that have come out and said that. So I want to dig into that a little bit more because I really would like for us to, I know we say this every show, like, oh, we should do an episode, but I do have that on things that I am currently researching for our Monday podcast. So we'll get into it. So what do you got for me?
The first one I have for us here that I found comes from the wonderful state of Florida. Shocker.
we have a lot of
weird news capital of the United States of America.
To my best friend Shannon in Florida. Right.
No offense to anybody in Florida, but
to my best friend Shannon.
But you all folks are just giving us some crazy stuff, man. Let me tell you. This comes from Titusville, Florida on August 3rd. I know where that's at. What's that?
I know where that's at.
Yeah.
That's over by the Cape Canaveral.
Yep, area, correct. Right? Yep, it's in that corridor over there. The headline is troopers say drunk woman drove golf cart on Florida highway. But I picture in my head, every I don't know, maybe a couple times a year you hear how some Joe Schmo's on his John Deere tractor, right, driving it down the side of the road, and he's
right with the case of beer and he's getting pulled over,
going to get some beer, and playing his country music, going to get some beer on his tractor because his wife left him and his dog died, and whatever the case is. Well, that's what I think of when you hear someone's doing something stupid like this. Well, this is a good one.
Please tell me it was painted like a Barbie car or something.
No, but where she was you're gonna be like, what? I don't know how she got where she got to without getting hurt or hurting somebody else. Says a woman with an open bottle of Jack Daniels, shocker, in a bag, was arrested for driving a golf cart on Florida's busiest interstate, and she was drunk already. But she was doing this. A 58-year-old woman was arrested on Saturday night on the shoulder of Interstate 95, like you said, over there in the Cape Canaveral area. Mm-hmm. One of the busiest interstates in the country. That corridor they're coming from.
I did not know that.
Through that way, yeah, that's one of the busiest ones. She's now facing misdemeanor charges of disorderly intoxication in a public place and resisting an officer without violence. So she didn't put up a very big fight, which I'm imagining not. But according to Florida Highway Patrol, a semi-truck driver spotted the woman driving the golf cart in the center lane of Interstate 95.
Oh my gosh.
In the heart of Florida's Space Coast. The driver advised she observed the driver of the golf cart passing out while driving in the center lane of Interstate 95.
Oh my God.
The truck driver used her semi to steer the golf cart to the shoulder of the interstate.
So this semi-truck driver is just like doing one of those maneuvers. Like,
but like you see in the movies where they're forcing the person over, and this woman's behind the wheel, and she don't know what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Once on the shoulder, the driver grabbed the keys from the golf cart as the woman tried to drive away. I mean, I don't get it. Once the troopers were on the scene, the woman started arguing with him and insisted she needed her bag. Apparently, inside the bag, troopers found the open bottle of Jack Daniel's Fire whiskey.
Oh, she was going
So
hard.
she had the fire.
She was going hard.
So I thought that was an interesting story. Not nothing paranormal, but just odd.
It was weird news. It was weird news.
Odd that things that people think they can get away with and what people will try. I could see if it was me, which it wouldn't be. First thing I would do is I'd be on the side of the road because I'd be scared shitless. I wouldn't be anywhere near the center lane of the interstate system, and
let alone even driving drunk. Like that's not even a thing.
It's just it's just crazy. I'd be interested to know where she came from. If there's like is there a
like a market
somewhere?
Oh yeah. That's true.
I mean, how does she just all of a sudden get on the interstate? Where was she going? Where did she think she was going? Doesn't say.
A lot of neighborhoods down there though have they even have those neighborhoods where people have golf carts.
Yeah, like those gated communities, and that's what people need to drive around.
It's so funny though, because there is, of course, back to TikTok. There's this guy on TikTok, and he's freaking hilarious. And he's like, he'll always say like, oh, these people are out here being Florida. They're Florida and real hard today, kind of thing. And he's like, let me get my flip phone. And that's his shtick, is he has this flip phone that he's recording, that he says he's recording everything on. But then he'll play a video of something like in Florida. So it's funny that you said that, because he talks about the crazy people in Florida. Florida, we love you though. We love you.
Yeah, we love the state of Florida. I love the state of Florida.
So alrighty, so I guess I'm up next, huh?
Let's see what you got.
Okay. I think you're really gonna like this one. Okay.
I like everyone.
So that's true. I think you will specifically like this one though. All right. So here's the headline. You ready for it?
Yep.
Woman claims people won't set foot in her coffin-filled home because of ghost flatmate.
Because of what?
A ghost flatmate, like roommate. So this was out of a British paper, but it actually is going on here in the United States. So, they call their apartments or whatever, their houses over their flats. So anyway, here we go. This from August 5th. Becky Ann Gallen, I don't know if it's Galantine or Galantine. So we're going to just say I can't pronounce that. She's from West Hartford, Connecticut, and she lives in a house filled with used coffins and a wreath made of human hair that tends to make people not want to come over, especially not spend the night. So you look perplexed. I'm going to make sense here in a minute. She is a full-time paranormal investigator and also a licensed embalmer. Quite the duo. Her home is filled with what we would consider spooky items. Aside from used coffins and a wreath made of hair, her walls are lined with collective items like Ouija boards, occult books, and photos of the dead. So she has guests in her home, as we all do, but apparently some have experienced some pretty frightening occurrences from some of the things she's had in her home. At least that's what they say. She did give some history on some of the items that she has. For instance, the wreath that's made of human hair was apparently, according to her, a thing that people did in the Victorian era. I did not fact check this, so I'm just going by what the article said.
Sounds about right.
According to her, apparently people would spend, quote, years of their lives creating ornate personal wreaths of human hair. Maybe I have no idea how they collected it, cut it. I don't know. So apparently when she got this wreath and she brought it home, she was trying to like clean it up, restore it, make it look nice. And so this, probably takes some sort of time, or there's some sort of process that goes with it. So apparently everyone in the home had nightmares of this woman who they think is this woman that the hair belonged to, standing over top of them. And these people experienced sleep paralysis. So she soon decided, like, hey, look, I'm going to leave well enough alone. This wreath is fine just the way it is. And as soon as she decided to stop messing with the wreath, that's when all the activity of that kind stopped. She also had Ouija boards hanging on the walls of her home. And one day, or on the first day of bringing home one of the boards that had a handprint spot on it. So it was like, I don't know why. I don't know if it's in paint. It didn't say. but there was a handprint spot on this Ouija board, and a friend of hers was there, and he put his hand on top of this handprint, and the moment he did that, the lights in the house shut off, according to the article. So Becky goes on to say that she also, quote, cares for post-mortem photographs taken of the deceased and their family. She says it, quote, may seem morbid, but I don't think of them as macabre or collect them to be quirky. This is a photo that is taken on one of the heaviest days of an individual's life, and I like to think I keep them from being discarded. And if any members of the living family members want to come forward and claim the photos, they'd be happy to return them. I guess I didn't know. I guess I've seen photos before, but I guess I didn't know it was a thing to have photos taken with like your loved one that passed away.
Yeah, I think that's more of a old, maybe Victorian ritual thing. Same thing with the hair thing. I know back they used to make kids dolls out of human hair. Would use their human hair, and a lot of times I know they would actually make a doll in the image of the child. And that doll would be buried with the child, and it would actually have their real hair. And it was kind of weird. They did a lot of weird stuff back then. So the picture thing too, I think
that's the thing. I feel like I've actually been to some funerals where people are taking pictures. I thought it was kind of weird. Like maybe it's not, maybe I'm the one that's weird. I just thought it was weird. So if anybody out there knows, but even though there's, that they've had these things happen, she says the eerie decorations she feels gives her home a more personal touch. That was a direct quote. She said she doesn't show the photographs of the inside of her home very much. Just I'm assuming out of respect of whoever they belonged to before. She doesn't want to seem like she's exploiting it. But she did recently make a post on her Instagram account labeled "Things in My House That Make Overnight Guests Uncomfy." She also put a caption, quote, "Slumber Party, Who's In?" And then she started to show pictures of her Ouija board covered walls, her collection of dolls. You want to go spend the night, Rich? You can go spend the night. And coffins and the human hair wreath. So she's at My Bloody Galentine, if you want to check her out on Instagram. And that was from the Mirror in the UK. They picked up that story. So, yeah.
Okay. That was a good one.
Thanks.
I like it. Thanks. I will be spending some time in a haunted location next weekend. So, yes, I am. I'll be heading to Ashmore Estates and spending some time there. So,
yeah, so that's the weekend of the 12th, 13th, and 14th, right?
Coming up. So
yeah, Kez is so bummed that they can't go, but Kez will be in sunny California at their bachelor party. So
if I'm not here for the next episode, that means that the ghost got me.
Well, we have a couple episodes recorded, so people won't notice for like at least 3 weeks. I'll keep them. I'll put a little like insert in.
I'll have someone take a picture of me and then.
Perfect.
The hair part I'm gonna have a problem with, but
weekend at Bernie's.
There's not much there. Yeah, there's not much hair up there. I just got a haircut, so it's not gonna work well.
You look so fresh and clean. So not that you look dirty and gross before. I'm just saying I was shocked when we got on the video today and you had no.
It was time every month or so. I gotta go and cut my hair, and I don't remember the last time I did it, but especially with going out of town next week, I want to make sure that
look fresh for the ghosts.
Yeah, well, my fans out there. But
all the fans, right?
All the fans
are going to be doing a Facebook Live with the
yes, I think we will be. Well, that'll be awesome.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to that.
If anybody wants to check Rich out and live in action, Sioux Pit Southeast Wisconsin Paranormal Team, they are doing an investigation at Ashmore State, you said?
Yes, Ashmore State's down in Illinois, about 4 hours south of our current location here in sunny Racine, Caledonia, Wind Point, Wisconsin.
Our ozone warning weather right now. I've been suffering with allergies the last 2 days.
I will have tennis shoes on, so I'll be able to run really fast if I need to. But
yeah, so everybody check it out if you'd like. You'll see Rich and
all the I won't run from anything.
I'm afraid of no ghosts.
I'm not afraid. I've never seen anything yet that has scared me to the point where I said, I'm out of here. No. So
I'd have to say for our schoolhouse, I did think I think I booked it out of the The auditorium room.
Mm.
When we were up there setting up, when some of us decided we were going to sleep on the stage.
It was creepy in there. I'm not going to lie, but.
And I was setting up the beds, and then I had to go back in there for something, and I was like, screw that. Like it did not feel great. And that was the night we picked up all the recordings while we were sleeping, remember? And so then we're like, okay, we're just gonna all stick together. So I think the next night we stayed in the bed.
It was probably a good idea at that point. So
yeah, so that's the only time that I could say that I was afraid and I ran away.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, this next thing I have to say is not a news story that I found.
Okay.
It's something weird, strange that I want to vaguely touch on that I think we should do an episode.
Yes, let's hear it.
Later. Have you heard of The Secret?
The Secret, like as in manifesting?
No. The Secret, the book of the buried treasures that are throughout the United States. There's 12 buried treasures.
No.
You've never heard about that, huh?
I've heard of The Secret, but it's more of like the manifesting stuff.
Well, let's just say that I knew about it. There's 12 cities. Only 3 have been found to date. But what the weird part is a couple weeks ago when I went up north with my brother and everybody, we were sitting there, and what's the one question we're sitting outside by the fire. He goes, "You know what the secret is?" I went, "Yeah." I'm like, "Why do you know what the secret is?" And he continued to go on a tangent about he knows where the Milwaukee one is.
Stop it.
Everybody that thinks they know where the Milwaukee one is wrong. Which sounds like the ramblings of someone who is totally insane.
Uh-huh.
To the point where the Milwaukee episode was on Josh Gates.
Okay.
Expedition Unknown. He has had the other ones on his show as well, where they did find this treasure. And what it is the author, the book's upstairs. I don't remember. Price is his last name.
Yeah, there's Price, Byron, Mann, Ted, Kelly, and
yes.
Sean. It's called The Secret.
Yep.
Treasure Hunt. It's
a book that here's the basics. I don't want to get too deep in it because, like I said, I'd like to do an episode on this one, and I'd like to get my brother on the talk because he needs to tell his side without whether anybody's going to believe him or not. The thing is this all happened back in the early 80s.
Right, 1982.
To this day, only 3 have ever been found. So that means there's still 9 of them out there, presumably, if they haven't been tore up or dug up without anybody knowing about it. But what they are is they're like a ceramic cask with different characters on them, and inside's a key, and he put them in a latex or a plexiglass box, and he buried them in parks around the country in different cities. And the premise of it is you follow these clues. First, you got to figure out what city it's in by the paintings that are in the book. He doesn't tell you where they're at. You have to look at these paintings to figure out the clues, to figure out what city they're in. And then within the picture, there's clues, and there's also a verse that goes with each city. And that's the steps of how to go about finding the so-called treasure. When you do find it, what you do back then when he was still alive, he died. He passed away in a car accident in 2005. So now his estate actually handles this part of it if anybody would ever find one again, because no one's found one since. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say that. The Boston one was found a couple years ago.
2019, I'm reading.
Yeah. So what it is you would turn the key in and you'd get a gem, and each gem is associated with the city. There's like emeralds and rubies, diamond, whatever it is, whatever that. In each picture is the stone. If you look at each picture, there'll be a stone in there, and that's the gem that is you'll receive. So you receive the gem, and back in the day, you got $1,000 as well. I don't know if that's changed or not. I think more now. It's more just.
It could be worth more. Yeah,
could be. It's just the thought of what it's done, getting people out looking for something, getting people to read the book and getting
Mhm.
people together to do something like that is incredible, I think.
I am going to buy this book as soon as you and I are done recording this episode.
Yes, my brother needs to tell his side.
Yes.
He's got me. We were up there for a couple days, and he went on, and I saw the episode on TV and the location everybody thinks it's at, and everybody has compelling evidence that it's for sure there. It's got to be there. Yet nobody has found it. Now, of course, you can't just go around digging in a public park without permission. So that's a part of it. But no one has actually, the one person that thought he did know where it was, where he did get a hold of Josh Gates, and it was actually on the TV, the program. They dug and it wasn't there. So it still was not found. So did somebody dig it up, find it, and never said anything? I don't know that somebody would do that.
Right.
Now, I think the reason Price buried them in parks, public parks like that, and they're historical parks. They're not just like a park that, next to a school that maybe something could, it's actually a park that's like, Milwaukee is German. So it's all German stuff.
Okay.
You had the, Italian, Jewish, Irish, stuff like that.
Okay.
So each one has to do with the background of the city. So you have to read the verse, you have to look at the pictures, and every park so far has been.
So it's culturally related.
It's cultural. It has to do with the immigrants coming over.
Okay.
So
it's all basically settled in that city.
Correct.
Okay.
Based on that, and when you read the book, you find out that it's tied deep to his roots of when his family came over in New York through Ellis Island and all that stuff. It's rooted deep in that, and he was very passionate about making sure that each one of these cities, in order to find that treasure, the clues all relate to those things.
Right.
And we've noticed that every park has been cultural related to the city and to the people that actual specific individuals for that city.
Gotcha. Like whoever settled in that.
Right. And when my brother tells his story, the first thing I thought is, why are you even telling me this? They already know where it's at. Nope, They're wrong. Okay, they're wrong.
So then
tell me.
Maybe we need to get
with the first sentence he said to me, I was hooked. Now, the first thing, one of the things is ascend the Grand 200. Okay? Ascend the Grand 200. If you're not from Milwaukee, you don't know. He says, what's the first thing you think of when I say Grand in Milwaukee? What's the first thing you think of Grand in Milwaukee?
No, I guess the lake.
Okay, good thing he didn't ask you. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know much. I'm a transplant.
Okay, I said Grand Avenue Mall.
Oh, okay, yeah,
something like that. He goes exactly. Okay, exactly what? So what's that got to do with anything? The mall was down there, and they were doing. I don't know. Look up real quick when Grand Avenue Mall was built.
Okay, let's do that.
He says to me, Grand Avenue Mall. He says, exactly. He said that would be a place where
should we be reporting this right now?
We're fine. I'm not going to go too deep into this.
When was Grand Avenue Mall built?
It doesn't matter because, like I said, you gotta go through
1982.
Bingo. 1982. Guess what the original address of Grand Avenue Mall was? The number.
I don't know.
200 Grand Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Coincidence?
This is.
This is what I said to him. I said, then how come nobody else thinks that? Because everybody else thinks it's in that park. He said, I know I have a different park that I know. I'm not going to say any of this other stuff. I'm going to let, when he comes on, he can decide whatever. But he said, it's in this park. He said, and these are the reasons I believe it. And he continued from that point on to tell me different reasons why. And there was nothing he said that I couldn't say, nah, I don't buy it. Now,
very cool.
Everybody that thinks they know where it is has the same thing. They can go through everything and say they know that because their theory stands tall too. So there's different ways of thinking in different ways, I think, to get to where it's at. But just from it was very weird that to go up north and then for him to say that to me and then continue to go on for hours of telling me his theories. And then together, myself and him and Etzel, who was with us, which is our cousin's, our niece's husband, put our heads together and started looking at some of the other clues. And it's amazing to me how many things, when you start to look at it, make sense to his theory.
All right.
So
I'm excited. You should ask him like when he can come on the show. Let's do it.
I'm going to ask him about it because he, like I said, it's very strange. It's very addictive once you start getting into that book. And there should be a warning on the front page telling you that once you dig into it, beware, because my kid is down the rabbit hole now too. And he's got his theories, and he goes back and forth between thinking everybody else is right. Yet then he comes up with other things that it's in the area where my brother thinks it is. Okay. So now I've seen other theories online where people think it's in a totally different spot, so I think it's a matter of perspective. I said, the only way you're going to know, I think, is to go downtown and walk it and follow some of the clues and follow some of the things it says to do and see if it makes sense. Because without actually going there and just looking on Google Maps or whatever, you really don't get the sight lines, I think, because everything is supposed to be where it's all in the area. Like from so-and-so, you should still be able to see what's in that picture because that's why it's in the picture, to tell you that, so. Gotcha. Well, that's my little weird excerpt from.
I'm glad that was very creative. I'm glad that you did that today. So I think that's cool. And I definitely think we should dive into that. I'm buying the book as soon as we're done recording today. And
you should go on whatever it is. I don't know. I got Hulu is what I have, but go on and watch some of the Expedition Unknown's the secret versions, the ones that I say secret, and you'll see what I mean. Okay. They go through the steps of looking for some of the other ones, and there's actually one episode that I didn't see before that I want to watch, and then there is the one of the Boston one where they actually find it. So if you kind of watch how the clues lay out and you kind of see how each one of because they do talk to the people that found the one in Chicago and Cleveland were the first two that were found. Yep. Chicago one was found like right away.
Yeah, Grant Park I saw.
And then it was like 2004 for the Cleveland one. And then this last one, like you said, it was like 18 or 19 it was found. Yeah, 19. So now a lot of people, people have confirmed what some of the other cities are by the pictures, but no one has found anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it can be us.
I don't know. The Milwaukee one's just driving me nuts.
Well, not us. It maybe can be your brother.
He's drugged me in that rabbit hole with him now. So
I'll be live to report it. How about that? I'll be supporting stuff.
I mean, I really wish I could say he's wrong and but I mean, he's deep. He's deep. He's got stuff on the wall with yarn and pins, and he's deep.
Holy
let me tell you.
Shit. Okay.
He's not just reading the book and going, I think I know. Trust me, he's researched deep.
All right. Well, we need to definitely have him on the show. So you figure that out so we can have our listeners hear this story from him. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell him he can come on and if he wants to talk about it, he doesn't have to give a lot of details because I don't know if he wants to share his treasure.
Yeah, he doesn't have to.
Like I said, I mean.
It'd be nice to talk about it with somebody who's followed the book. So.
The thing is we don't know where it is. Even talking like we have been, we don't know where the final place is. We think we know where, and some of the clues are different from what everybody else thinks, but still doesn't. I mean, anybody could listen to what we're going to tell them, and it'd be hard probably for anybody to find it. And like I said, you don't know if it's even still there. Things have changed so much in 40 years.
Especially if there's been any construction or anything. So
yeah, well, it's interesting that the one park that he thinks it's in. I don't think he's had much construction. So.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get into this. Oh, all right. Well, everybody, that's our news for this week. So catch us
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Every other Monday for our for our full episode. Every other Monday, our next full episode will be Monday, August 15th. And then join us every Wednesday for Weird Weekly News. So with that, see ya.
Ciao. Peace out.